Om Kayena vacha manasyendrayirva Bhutyatmanava prakriti swabhava Karomi adyat sakalam paresma Narayana samarpayami Narayana samarpayami.
Dear Seeker of Truth, welcome. In this series of videos, we are going to talk about Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion, of divine love, of God realization. So we are going to talk about the Narada Bhakti Sutras, a beautiful work attributed to sage Narada that talks about in full length of the path of devotion. May you all find inspiration in this work. May you all find meaning and purpose in your spiritual quest through these words. This kind of work, these words, these sutras, they bring light and they open the door to the life of the real quest for liberation. May you also find divine love in your heart. Moving on, Narada Bhakti Sutras, Chapter 9, Glory of the Company of the Wise. So, Sutra 39. The company of the great souls is again difficult of attainment. It is unapproachable, and it is infallible or unfailing in its effect. So the company of the great souls, it is difficult to be attained because some merit has to be there. Without merit, it is difficult, either from this life or from the previous life. So this merit makes it possible to be in the presence, in the company of the wise. And it is also this merit that leads you to the recognition of a great soul and to the possibility, through the continuous merit, to the possibility to honor that presence and take the best out of it. And the company of the great souls, it is unfailing in its effect. Depending on the seeker, it may take longer or less time, depending on where the seeker stands, but it is unfailing in its effect. So, some points: difficult to attain and to keep, and especially to honor. Well, yes, this honoring part, it is very important and very difficult, because the spiritual quest, it's non-stop, and you have to be pushing always more and more, coming closer and closer to God, striving to maintain God's remembrance at all times. If you slacken your efforts, that is not a way to honor the presence of the great ones. And sometimes you might lose it because of that. So honoring their presence, honoring that blessing in your life, it is very important. And the only way you can do that is by continuous, non-stop, sincere, heartfelt effort in your spiritual disciplines, in receiving guidance, putting it in practice. This is how you honor it. Lord Krishna says, 1 in 1,000 struggle for self-realization. And even among such aspirants, only 1 in 1,000 attains self-realization. So this is how rare a self-realized being is. But this awakened soul, to those real seekers, it is the means for their own self-realization. And like Narada says in that sutra, it is unfailing. Those who are more advanced, more pure, more humbled, they see this moving faster. Those who have more impurities, still a lot of work to do, they see a slow pace. But it is infallible in nature. You may not be able to recognize a worthy spiritual preceptor even after coming in contact with him, because great souls generally hide their greatness. This is very important and very true, because you see, a spiritual preceptor, a real guru, is for real seekers of truth. And many seekers are just curious, but they lack the purity or the capability to maintain that spiritual effort, that spiritual discipline continuously. They are not giving their lives to it. It is just a phase or a curiosity or a means to their own indulgence. But those who strive hard, they gain the merit for it, even if they are not able to maintain it after. But surely, whatever the Guru is giving them, he is testing that and giving an opportunity to break the resistances. Many times, the resistances win, and the seeker goes back to his normal ways, not knowing if what he lived was right, if the Guru was the Guru, and if he was a real seeker of truth or not, because that really doesn't matter. What matters is what path you are following. But the more sincere you get, the more pure you become, the more you are able to recognize the Guru. Because there is grace in that recognition, but also a danger. For the one who is not a real seeker of truth, yet recognizing a Guru would be a real danger, because it would question everything which is important to him. All his attachments, all his blindness, all of that. So these seekers have defenses. And also, they don't have the merit. Because one thing is to be in contact with a Guru. It is by blessing, of course, by merit of some heartfelt and sincere effort you had, but that doesn't mean that you'll recognize it or that you will believe the recognition, because many times there is the recognition, but then doubt comes. Because being constantly in that vision and maintaining it, it's for those who are striving in a path of purity. And for those ones, the Guru reveals itself. For the other ones, the Guru doesn't. He hides because he doesn't want to be seen by those who are not really striving, but are doing something else. Doesn't matter if it is in a spiritual context or not. So for the rest, he just appears to be just a normal person. An aspirant who has earned great merits by his strenuous endeavor in the present or previous life will be able to recognize the greatness of a Mahatma and obtain grace. like I've explained, it is true. But depending on the seeker, depending on the nature of his present condition, let's call it like this, sometimes he may not be able to honor that blessing and falling back into old habits, old life. And this happens because desires are still there, and in a way, either he wants to replace those desires by something spiritual, but it is greed-based, or he wants that same old desires with the help of the self-realized, even without knowing that. So the Guru puts obstacles in the front of the seeker, of the devotees, so that they may establish themselves completely in the spiritual quest for real. And for that, many things have to be abandoned. Not everyone is a guru. Teacher of real spiritual enlightenment are rare. So a guru is rare. A one with an enlightened one is rare. So many say they are enlightened, but that's not usually the case. But it doesn't matter how many are there. For the seeker of truth, for the devotee, for the seeker of God, there's only one guru for him, and it is God. And if it is manifested in the body, is a guru with the body, then it is his guru, not a guru, his guru. And this he needs to find, and he will find by diving within, struggling honestly, sincerely in his spiritual practices. This will enable him to be worthy of receiving guidance and grace and the blessings of the presence of the Guru, and who knows, even to be able to live with the Guru and serve him as he would serve God. The effect of a saintly contact is unerring and infallible. In ordinary aspirants, the transformation may be slow and gradual, but is unerring and infallible. This is why it is a blessing. And the chapter is called Glory of the Company of the Wise. This is why it is glorious, because it is infallible. It doesn't fail. It will lead you to self-realization or God-realization. But, like I've said previously, different aspirants will see a different velocity in their evolution. So, those who are more ordinary will see it a gradual, slow, sometimes very slow. Sometimes you don't see anything, but it is there. But eventually it will pick up the pace. It may take long, it doesn't matter. It is unfailing. So this is the glory of the company of the wise. But it's not easy to find. It's very difficult to keep, because it's very difficult to honor. And sometimes the vision of the seeker doesn't allow him to understand the blessing that it is to be in the presence of the Guru, to serve the Guru, how precious it is. And so they treat it as something more random, and they fall back into old habits, and then they lose it. You will first have to equip yourself with the necessary qualifications of self-restraint, celibacy, calmness of mind, keen desire for liberation, humility, obedience, spirit of service, etc., to make yourself fit for their company. Or else, if you are just full of worldly qualifications, you will not understand, you will not be able to be present. Or even if by grace you receive that presence, you will not be able to keep it. So it is always about self-improvement, about purity. And all these qualifications, self-restraint, celibacy, calmness of mind, keen desire for liberation, this is a little bit different, but not so. It's the same: humility, obedience, spirit of service. This talks about purity. This talks about purity. And without purity, there's nothing. If you get their company and you are able to honor it and preserve it, your salvation is solved. This point is very important. If you succeed in these 3 points, your salvation is solved. It's just a matter of time. And time, whatever that means. But this, honoring it, preserving it, getting their company is the easiest one. Is the easiest one. If you're sincere, if you work hard, or if you have worked hard in your previous life, and if you're sincere now and working hard, this step is easier. To preserve it and honor it, this is more difficult because you must see it for what it is. If you don't look at the Guru as a blessing, as God's presence, you will treat it more randomly. And that means that you will not be able to take as seriously as you should the guidance that you are getting. You will not be able to experience the reverence in the presence of the Guru. You will not be able to develop devotion to the Guru. And your process will just... And in the absence of that, old habits will take over. So, and even if you have strong devotion at the beginning, remember, the Guru is there to break your illusion. So he will test all that devotion, all that love, bringing you things that you don't expect and that sometimes makes you suspicious, because especially if somewhere in your mind you're still looking at some benefits, some good things coming in your way, and then you say, oh, but isn't God just love? Why is this difficulties coming to me? And then you start questioning everything. So the Guru, God, puts obstacles in front of you to give you an opportunity to let go and to rise above worldliness and embrace completely the divine. And for that, you need to purify yourself. And that's the way you honor the presence of the Guru. Sri Shranka says in the Viveka Chudamani, 3 things are rare in this world. They are human birth, desire for liberation, the care of a perfect sage. So, in this case, we are talking about the glory of the company of the wise. So, the care of a perfect sage is something which is rare, because it must be a special soul to be able to get the care of a perfect sage. Every souls are special, and if you work hard, sincerely, you will achieve it. But if that sincerity doesn't maintain itself, you will not be able to honor it, and you will lose it. Lose it or let it go, it doesn't matter how it happens. It matters is that it happens. Okay.
Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhushka Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva